Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy Skip, aka Skip and Tosh here of the Sacktown Breakdown. Catching up on some recaps for you guys. Me and Tapper doing our damnedest to make sure we recap every single game of this season. We might miss a few, but we are able to catch up on these ones so that way we can stay 100% for our 1,000, I should say, for our game recaps as our team is struggling just to get to 500. But they're doing their best and we're doing our best. So let's talk about this Sacramento Kings versus the Brooklyn Nets game. This one I probably won't go too deep into because it was a loss and there wasn't really a lot to take away from the game with one major thing. And that major thing we are going to talk about. So let's get into it. All right. So we have the breakdown here and it's pretty apparent just from looking at it. But we can see we got outscored by 3 points in the first quarter. We got outscored by 4 points in the second quarter. Of course, the tail of the third quarter occurred and we got outscored by 9. And then ultimately we got outscored by 3 at the end. They went on a really big run in the third quarter, and that's what kind of ended up putting us away. But one of the biggest things will be very apparent once we get past the game leader stats. So let's go ahead and just kind of get ourselves past all of that. Harrison Barnes did as good as he could for us, and he had a very solid game, 18 points, he was 7 to 12 from the field. We'll look at those stats a little bit more here in a moment. And then Spencer Dinwiddie, who he played a really, really solid game, really controlled basketball, picking apart our defense. He was really taking stabs at us with his 23 points. Rashawn Holmes did what he could, eight rebounds. DeAndre Jordan had 10. Buddy Hield with 5 assists. They had a very simple game plan, and we'll talk about that here in a moment as well. Spencer Dinwiddie, again, picking apart our defense with 7 assists. 1 block for Rashawn Holmes, 2 steals for Spencer Dinwiddie. Team stats, of course, these always tell a very interesting tale. And we were 45% from the field. Not great, but not terrible either. But of course, they were literally 50%, a little over 50% from the field. We actually had more shot attempts, if you look at it, but they were more efficient with their offense. And that's why I said they were just picking apart our defense with their offense. They were just really getting to the rim, hitting open shooters. There was a shooter that we'll talk about in a moment that wasn't even always open, but after you let him hit a few open ones, that confidence goes up and he starts knocking them down. Again, we're just notorious for not really getting to the free throw line like that. We shot 78%. When we did get there, 15 to 19, they got there as they should have. They shot it at a lower clip, which is what kind of had us thinking that we would stay in the game, but ultimately they ended up putting it away. But they shot 31 free throws to our 19. We did have more assists with 26, so we were moving the ball because that was the only way we were going to be getting any kind of offense at all was by moving the ball. Rebounds, they out-rebounded us, and significantly. Offensive rebounds was another thing that really hurt us. They had 1 more steal only and just 1 more block, and we actually had 2 fewer turnovers, so we were doing our best to stay responsible with the ball. We did have some very costly turnovers. We can read the recap a little bit. Brooklyn Nets usually do well when they hold opponents under 100 points, as they did. Spencer Dinwiddie scored 23, and Joe Harris, who was their shooter, the mighty Joe Harris, who was in the three-point shooting contest with Buddy Hield last year at All-Star Weekend, he added 22, and he was the one that was really, really, really killing us. He just put us away with his shooting. Victory over the Kings, and Brooklyn is 34-6 under coach Kenny Atkinson when keeping opponents under 100. This is a very good stat for their team. As you can see, it was a bit of a toss-up. We had a lot of confidence rolling into this one, and it was 60-40 as opposed to where, we're used to seeing when fans vote, we're used to seeing those numbers being a lot lower for Kings teams going up against just about anyone except for the most horrible teams in the league. Let's look at Brooklyn before we look at Sacramento. Again, Dinwiddie in 27 minutes, he was very efficient with 23 points, 8 of 15 from the field. Didn't hit a single three-pointer, and I can only imagine if he did, because if he even hit 2 more of those, then we would be talking about, 122 to 97, and we don't need that jazz. 6 rebounds, 1 assist, looking at the wrong stat line. 1 rebound, 7 assists, 4 turnovers, 2 steals. Joe Harris, that is the guy that really hurt us. Look at that. 28 minutes, he had 22 points. 8 of 11 from the field. And look, he had 5 3-pointers on us. 5 of 7. Didn't hit all his threes. Didn't go to the line that much, though. 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks. So Joe Harris was getting a little bit of defense in. Former King Garrett Temple. Will forever be a big fan of Garrett Temple and his professionalism and leadership. In 34 minutes, he had 18 points, 6 of 13 from the field. Look at his 3-pointers. Garrett Temple hit 4 3-pointers. And when you're letting people like Garrett Temple hit 4 3-pointers, you're going to have yourself a rough night. 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. We're going to go to Jared Allen in his 25 minutes. And that's another thing that I liked here. Kenny Atkinson did a good job of balancing his rotation, not putting too many minutes on guys, especially with having Kyrie Irving out. I just loved how he balanced his rotation. And look, only one of his starters played more than 30 minutes, and it was Garrett Temple, and it was primarily because of his defense. He probably played Garrett Temple more because Garrett Temple came from the Kings. We still had a lot of the same personnel, or at least, quite a bit of the same main players when Garrett Temple was there, primarily Buddy Hield. And we're going to talk about that after we go and we look at our stat numbers. But Jared Allen with 11 points. He had 9 rebounds, so almost had himself a double-double. 1 assist, 1 turnover, 1 steal, 1 block. It's a solid game for Jared Allen. Taurean Prince, 25 minutes, had 8 points, 3 rebounds, 4 turnovers. But you're going to see a theme with Taurean Prince and Garrett Temple, and we'll talk about it in a minute. Musa is someone I'm not really familiar with, but came in and had some good buckets for him. 10 points. Didn't hit any threes. 6 rebounds. Amon Shumpert, former Sacramento King. Long live the scores. I always have a big place in my heart from Amon Shumpert. My mentality and my mind frame about him changed big time when he came to Sacramento, from what I thought he was to what he did, how professional he was, and what he did for our locker room. I thought he was going to come here, get traded, and that would be that. He came in here, he stayed, didn't play for the rest of the season. We allowed him to heal. The next season, because we got him in a trade. And then the season after that, he came and he was one of the biggest factors on our team, just in spirit and professionalism and playing hard. So I always have a big spot in my heart for Garrett Temple. And like I said, long live the scores. I said Garrett Temple, Amon Shumpert. Garrett Temple and Amon Shumpert. But Amon Shumpert, it's funny, they were kind of in the same vein as far as how they played, the type of player that they are, and the level of professionalism that they brought. But Amon Shumpert brought something a little extra special with the whole scores mentality, and we're not a team, we're a basketball team, we're a ball club. Just paradigm shifts to have the young guys start thinking differently about how they approach the game, not just from X's and O's standpoint, but from how you wake up in the morning, what you put on when you get here, how you greet people when you come in, how you greet your team, how you approach the game, from start to finish. And it's fantastic. He had 7 rebounds, 1 assist. So there's going to be a thing with Garrett Temple, Taurean Prince, and Amon Shumpert. We'll talk about it in a second. Pinson, who I don't even know that much about, 24 minutes, 7 points, no threes, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. DeAndre Jordan, who was sharing time with Jared Allen, came in with his 19 minutes. Really, his rebounds were the biggest thing, but he had 6 points, and he was fouling a lot. He was a foul body. And then you had some guys that got some garbage time minutes, David Nwaba, Claxton, who I don't know much about, and Henry Ellenson, who I always have my eye on him because my buddy Laker Leak, a.k.a. No Casuals Allowed, a.k.a. League versus the World, was really high on Henry Ellenson when he came into the league. He likes shooters. He likes guys with potential and guys with size that can shoot. Fortunately, Henry Ellenson just hasn't really been panning out as an NBA player in the league. And to be honest with you, I've fallen off enough from him watching him over in Detroit and then over watching him here. And I think he might have went one other place to understand why that is. But that's about as much breath as I'll give Henry Ellenson right now. And I wish him the best. So the reoccurring theme that you'll see, and we'll first go straight to Buddy Hield. Hield, he's a prolific scorer, so he still had 16 points. But look how many threes he hit. They were choking him on the perimeter. Garrett Temple, Amon Shumpert, and Tarion Prince's job was to make sure that Buddy Hield is extremely uncomfortable on the perimeter. And Buddy resorted to chucking. He was throwing up some of the ugliest shots that I'd seen him take. He was just having a tough time just getting free to get the ball. We could have done better at setting screens, and that's a coaching adjustment that I don't think we properly made. We should have put an emphasis on, hey, we need to get Buddy good shots. So you need to set solid screens for Buddy so Buddy can get decent shots. And, and it's not that we weren't trying, but there just wasn't enough focus on there. When we set the screens, but there wasn't emphasis on the screens. And that's how you get guys open like that. Even with our Spain pick and roll and all that stuff, like our double screens, we should have been staggering them and stacking them out a little bit higher, as opposed to just, being parallel with each other. You want to really stagger it so the guys that are coming around hit one wall and then hit a wider wall to go out and around, and then that gives the shooter the space to shoot. And it's just not something that was happening for us. Harrison Barnes, though, 7 of 12 from the field, didn't hit any of his three-pointers, had 5 rebounds. We already went over Buddy's numbers. He did have 5 assists, which was good. He was finding other ways to be effective, and he was even playing some heightened defense, which it's nice to see him start to make those adjustments in game before the coach says anything, and learn that if you can't get your shot off, you have to find another way to be a positive. You can't just be like, shooters got to shoot, and I'm just going to keep shooting, and then that be that. Nemanja Bjelica, almost thought he had another double-double, but in his 31 minutes, he hit, again, 1 3, and again, you'll kind of see that be a reoccurring theme. 7 rebounds for Nemanja, and he had a steal. Rashawn Holmes came in his 26 minutes, had 12 points, hit almost every bucket from the field, had 8 rebounds in total, 2 assists. Corey Joseph, again, struggled to score in his 22 minutes, but he was a defensive pest, and had 5 assists, but just didn't really pan out. Some highlights, though, was Justin James getting some tick, being that we were low on people. And he came in and look at Justin James had 14 points. He was 6 of 14 from 3. Played some very inspired defense, very pesky defense, using his youth and energy and his length, even his athleticism. He tried to take DeAndre Jordan's life. Oh, my God. DeAndre Jordan had to foul that man because we forget how athletic Justin James is. And I forget, too, because seeing him in college, he looked bulked up compared to a lot of his competition, his college-sized competition, especially the division that he was in. And then when he got into the NBA, I went to California Classic Season 2 at the Golden One Center, and I just remember sitting close and being like, dude, Justin James does not look as big. Like, he doesn't look much bigger than Kyle Guy, and Kyle Guy looked scrawny. Kyle Guy played better than Justin James did, too, in the California Classic. But Justin James just slashed, caught a little bit of light, and just rose up on DeAndre Jordan and hammered it down. And DeAndre Jordan had to foul him, and the ball didn't go in. And everybody, you could hear the air kind of start to come out of the Barclays Center, and it was just like, whoa. Just the attempt alone was pretty awesome. And to see a young guy like that who hasn't been getting much playing time just have the audacity. I'll go beyond confidence, and I'll say they have the audacity to try to dunk on DeAndre Jordan. Even though he's not the same DeAndre Jordan as he was before, he still can jump high, and he's still a very big, strong man. So props to Justin James for being fearless. 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, and a steal. Justin James just played solid. Harry Giles got 10 minutes to tick, had 6 points, 3 turnovers. Had 3 fouls, and they were kind of quick fouls, so he didn't get a whole lot of a time. But he did try to string some passes that were very much high IQ Harry Giles passes, and they just didn't hit the mark. But it's that kind of potential. It's the IQ potential, along with his length, that you want to see come in. And yeah, he can get in his head too much. He's not playing, so when he gets in, he wants to be active, and he still needs to calm it down a bit. But he's my second favorite player on the team, and I just want to see him continue to shine. Then again, we had Wenyen Gabriel came in with 7 minutes, had 5 points. It was just nice to see Wenyen Gabriel get some tick, and he had a steal and a block. So just being an active body. Yogi Ferrell did play 20 minutes, but same thing. They kind of put an emphasis on him to not let him get too loose. So he ended up having 4 assists, but only 4 points along with that. Dwayne Dedman came in for 13 minutes and gave us what he had, but it wasn't very much. 2 points, 2 rebounds, and assists, 1 turnover, 2 steals, which was nice. And then Daquan Jeffries, who is one of our two-way guys, got called up to be on the road trip with us. Now, here's that thing that I was talking about that I wanted to highlight. You notice Bogdanovic did not play this game. At the end of I think it was the end of the Suns game. Is that what we played before? Let's go back and take a look. Yeah, it was the Suns. So at the end of the Suns game, after we had won, really on like the very last play that he was a part of, he had come down, didn't look abnormal, but he had a little twinge and he put his hand right underneath, his butt right on his thigh. And everybody was worried because he was walking a little gingerly. Come to find out that it was initially just like a little bit of hamstring strain. But he's been probable every time. Like he missed this game, and immediately after. And I think he was right to miss this game. You don't want to have it go from strain to tendonitis or being pulled or something. But the other thing is that he's obviously very integral to our team, especially when we're missing De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley. And not only that, but he's also in a bit of a contract year where we gave him an offer sheet and he didn't sign it. So right now he's proven his worth, and good for him, because I'm all about paying Bogdanovic a little bit more money. I get the cap space and everything, and I do split it between, like, you got to think about the players, you got to think about the team. But Bogdanovic is my favorite player on the Kings. There's a reason for that, and part of that reason is what he does on the court, and it's obvious that what he does is very special and important. So for him to, and for the team to err on the side of his health, him not play, get that extra rest, and hey, we took a L that we really could have used, but seeing us lose in this way lets us know that even if Bogi did play with the way and the game plan that they had, and how we didn't even make proper adjustments to close that gap and have it be, maybe 106 to 116, lets me know that if Bogi did play, it probably wouldn't have mattered anyway, and it would have been close. We would have been going more with getting him injured than, having him really help us, and his health is important. So that was kind of that. That was really the tale of what we saw there. It was really the main thing is Bogi didn't play due to injury, and we see what happens when if we don't have Fox. And if we don't have someone to fill it up as a big like Marvin Bagley, where, it's a lot harder to game plan against athleticism. Skill you can game plan against, you can double team people, you can, whatnot. You can double team people with athleticism too, but athleticism, it's just flat out harder to go against, because people are going to be aggressive, they're going to be jumping towards the hoop, they're going to get fouled, they're going to go to the line. Or you start doubling people too much. If we can make the adjustment and say, hey, as soon as the double comes, you start kicking out to an open shooter like Buddy Hield, or, or even to Harrison Barnes, who's been knocking down his shots, then, you start putting the pressure on that defense. And then if you have a player like De'Aaron Fox, I'll be honest, it's a little more controversial with him being out, how much of a factor he would make, because obviously I feel like he would fill it up in the points that Corey Joseph isn't giving. He would be giving, but at the same time, Corey Joseph, he gets in there and he kind of gives us a defensive presence that Fox only gives when he wants to. Fox can be that defender all the time, but he only really is that defender like in the clutch or just randomly when he wants to make a defensive play. He just decides he wants to be a defensive madman. But Corey Joseph is being that pest just about every play, if not every other play. It's much more than De'Aaron Fox. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when Fox comes back. Obviously, he has all the potential in the world to make our team better. And I think him being hurt and watching how the team is operating without him, he will come in with that mentality a little bit more. But Fox needs to come back and attack. He needs to come back and attack. And if he does anything short of attacking when he comes back, then we're not going to take the step that we need to take in the West to really be it. He's going to have to be putting defenses on notice. He's going to have to be using his speed. He's going to have to be using his pace. He's going to have to get to the line. His shooting has improved. If he wants to ISO a little bit more and, on guys, I'm a little bit okay with that because I just want him to be aggressive. because that's going to be the key to us winning. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in and rocking with us as we're catching up on these games. It's your boy Skip for the Sacktown Breakdown. We appreciate y'all. Peace.